Hello everyone. So today we will look into limited liability partnership. So limited liability partnership was enacted in 2008 through a law called Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008. So we will look into the advantages and disadvantages of a limited liability partnership again on the four major classifications. First is ease of formation, incorporation, registration and compliance aspects. And the second one is on the liability. And the third one is limitation or restrictions that are imposed for the business or firm. And the fourth one would be upgradation. Okay. So what is the major difference when it comes to a normal partnership and a limited liability partnership? Normal or a general partnership is registered and incorporated under the Indian Partnership Act 1932. But LLP is incorporated under the Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008. And LLP is governed by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. When it comes to partnership firm, you would have to register it with the Register of Firms. But when it comes to LLP, you would have to register it with the Registrar of Companies. And it is being governed by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So, taking the first point into consideration, ease of formation. So, registration and incorporation of an LLP requires a little more tasks when compared with the partnership. With a partnership, normal agreement is sufficient for beginning the partnership firm. But when it comes to an LLP, all the partners should possess a digital signature and all the partners should possess a director identification number, which we call it as a DIN or DPIN. So once you decide to be a partner of an LLP, and if you decide to start an LLP, your first task is to apply for a digital signature and the second task is to register for a DIN. Once you receive your DIN, then you can go ahead and file a form in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs to register the name that you choose. First step would be you would have to choose a name for your LLP and the name approval has to go through with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Once the name has been assigned or allotted to you, then you can go ahead and form the company through an agreement. Is in a similar fashion how you would do it with the partnership. But with partnership, general partnership, you will not need name approval and all. But with the limited liability partnership, you would have to go for a name approval with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs through filing the necessary forms, and then you would have to go ahead and file your limited liability partnership agreement. Okay, so this is the incorporation and registration process. So once you have completed your incorporation and registration, your business can start to commence. Okay, so what are the other compliances that are involved in it? So when it comes to LLP, it doesn't have that much of compliances equivalent to that of a private limited company. But at the same time, there is a few compliances, general compliances that you would have to follow. The first one is directors, who are all going to be the partners of the business, who are all hold the DIN, the director identification number, should file your eKYC every 3 months. Every quarter you would have to file your eKYC. And apart from that, you would have to file your balance sheet and income tax returns for your LLP. That is all is the general normal compliances which are which the Ministry of Corporate Affairs looks forward. Okay. So this is about the incorporation and registration. So it is also simple, but it depends upon the requirement. For example, if your requirement is just a basic requirement, only 2 or 3 people join together to start a business, general partnership would be sufficient. If you need a specific name and you need a specific recognition for the name, and if you feel that you would want to go through Ministry of Corporate Affairs, you can choose the LLP, liability partnership. As the name suggests, the liability is limited. When it comes to a partnership and a proprietorship, the liability is unlimited. But at the same time, with the limited liability partnership, the liability is limited to the amount of shares that you hold or the shares that vests on you. For example, if A and B are partners and A holds 80% of shares and B holds 20% of shares, then here the liability of B is only 20% and not unlimited. If the company is liable to pay 1 lakh due to a financial institution, then in this scenario, B is liable to pay only 20,000 rupees, and the liabilities are not unlimited, and it is limited to the shares that he or she holds. So this is the major difference when it comes to general partnership, proprietorship, and limited liability partnership. Okay, so the third one that we will look into is limitation or restrictions. This is the very important aspect in the limited liability partnership. This is where the major change that comes into picture. The first thing is, with normal or a general partnership, there were 3 different restrictions which we spoke about. One is the number of members should be 100 and not exceeding 100. 2, foreign nationals cannot be a partner in the general partnership under the Indian Partnership Act 1932. And the third one is, partnership firm is not a separate entity, and it is again a part of the partners. So partnership firm cannot hold title for any kind of an immovable property. These are the 3 major restrictions that we saw in general partnership. All these 3 limitations has been removed in the limited liability partnership firm. The first one, 100 members. With limited liability, you can have any number of partners that you wish, and that anybody can become a partner. There is no problem, there is no restrictions. So your limited liability can even have 150 or 160 partners. And the second restriction, foreign nationals. Yes, with a limited liability partnership company, foreign nationals can become a partner of the company. And the third one is on the title. So with the limited liability partnership, since you abide by the rules of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Ministry of Corporate Affairs and Registrar of Companies conclude that the company, the LLP, is a separate entity. So this separate entity can function on its will. So this separate entity can hold a title for any kind of an immovable property. It is not mandatory that the LLP should possess property through the partners. The LLP itself can hold title for any kind of an immovable property. And these are the 3 major restrictions that were imposed on the general partnership, and all these 3 restrictions have been removed here. And when it comes to other limitations of the type of business or the turnover of the business or the number of people that you should employ, there is no restrictions as such. So let's come to the 4th major classification, which is updation or upgradation. So LLP is almost, you would follow all the protocols that are designated for a private limited company. Only thing is, you will not file your AOA or MOA. So upgradation from an LLP to a private limited company is a very easy process, and yes, it is very much easy and very much convenient, and you can go ahead and upgrade it or update it anytime that you look forward for. Okay, so let me summarize. The major difference between a general partnership and a limited liability partnership is, as the name suggests, the liability aspect is limited to the shares that you hold. And then on the restrictions part, there is 3. Number of shareholders can be, in any number of shareholders can come into the picture, and then foreign nationals can become a partner, and then you can have immovable assets in the name of the company. But the only difference is, with the general partnership, you do not need a digital signature or a director identification number, but here you would have to get name approval and then go for an incorporation process or procedure. So thank you so much.